Life is a single sequence of consecutive miracles set within billions of years.
Can you save yourself from all your fate?
Who am I? I'm an alchemist, man.
Can you save yourself from
I was doing 3-roll hypnol, 1.5 liters of vodka, and an 1/8 of coke every night.
'Cause I'm constantly awake.
Struggle made the art. It accelerates us. It's wild style, that album. It's complete wild style. You may not understand it right now, and it's going to take a while for the wild style to be read. I've swapped one set of addictions to another. Yoga, well-being. I've done a lot of that. Now I see the boy. I'm trying to find a child constantly. Passing, that scares the life out of me. I'm a really strong spiritual believer, but in this capacity, our existence is minor. It's a blink of an eyelid compared to everything.
This week on the show, we have Clifford Price, AKA Goldie. He is the legendary English DJ, producer, visual artist, and actor in films like Guy Ritchie's Snatch. And he was really the godfather of urban rave and drum and bass music here in the UK in the 90s. And he blew up globally. He's been there and done that. He's partied with Val Kilmer and all sorts of other celebrity names. He turned down Madonna's album and he lived a life of excess. And I'm telling you, Goldie blew into our studio and he was on fire for 2 hours. He's such a big personality. He's been there and done that. And he also crashed and burned over all the excess and drugs and all of the things. And now he's back, rebuilding himself through yoga. He's introspective. He's trying to calm his anger down. And I really enjoyed my time with him. There's only one Goldie out there, and I think we've captured the essence of his personality, from his anger to his creativity, from his music to his visual art. So sit back. This is by far the best conversation I've ever seen with Goldie himself. And inside London Real headquarters, which is downstairs, we are busy cooking up our latest installment, which is the Life Accelerator. We are gonna allow you to crush 2018. I've stacked up together 18 high-performance habits of the greatest guests on London Real, including those of Dan Pena, Ido Portal, Dorian Yates, and more. And allow us to make sure you crush 2018, jump on our Life Accelerator program inside the Academy. And now I give you Goldie. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Clifford Price, better known as Goldie, the English musician, DJ, visual artist, producer, and now author, who last year received an MBE from Buckingham Palace. You're known as the godfather of urban rave, who shaped the drum and bass scene with your record label Metalheads, putting the British underground at the forefront of global music culture. You've acted in iconic films like James Bond's The World Is Not Enough and Guy Ritchie's Snatch, and just released your album The Journeyman and your new memoir, All Things Remembered. Goldie, welcome to London Real.
Yeah, I don't cook a bad omelette either. A good Jamaican chicken. Cliffy's chicken is a good dish, by the way. It's on YouTube, Cliffy's Chicken. It's a very funny dish. It's a beautiful dish, good Jamaican, proper good old Jamaican chicken and rice and peas thing. Yeah, it's been interesting. And it gets more interesting.
Life.
Well, yeah, because you get older, 52, golden age, keep going, and you realise that you know very little about life. And then you really understand the humility and being humble and understanding when to kind of like go, you know what, have a nice day, move on. And it's been a very interesting journey. I mean, I put it into perspective. I always said as a kid, if I lived in a street that everyone had a Ferrari or a Bentley, the street becomes boring. I was living in a place where everyone's different. And I think that's why I gravitate towards Asia, because there's all of that, the way that it looks rich and poor people are happy and rich people are miserable. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people that, can have all the money in the world, but they have a lot of richness, they don't have the wealth. And I think it takes a while to gain the wealth. And that's been really interesting in every field. Because it's identity as well. It's a search for identity. What am I? Who am I? I'm an alchemist, man. I'm like this really old art form of alchemy. You know what I mean? You into the dark room and you play with drugs for a long time, and then you open this box and it all comes out. The good and the bad. And you take the good and you take a lot of the bad, and it consumes you, and you collapse, and you get back up. You lose everything, and then you throw yourself at a wall. Fast cars, fast women, fast everything. You take yourself to the real edge of where you think you're not going to be here the next morning. You're thinking, I just can't switch this off, and then you just leave the gravity of all of that, and you either don't come back, or you realise it's about not having the gravity and finding an orbit in what is the universe that's bigger than all of us. I mean, our existence is minor. It's a blink of an eyelid compared to everything. It's getting your head around infinity, getting your head around something bigger than us. Don't know what it is. Don't exactly think we could, in our physical selves, actually comprehend it in this mindset. We're not ready. We're children compared to the universe in that sense, you know what I mean? But within where we are right now in the demographic of the arts, and I'm enjoying where I'm at right now, if this is a life I've had, a few times, and I know of a few of mine, then this is the one that I remember the most. And all the deja vus are, tracked out in a good way. A phenomenon to itself, but it's interesting.
Why write the book now? Why write the book now?
The book was written. I did the book. The book was 17 years ago. I did 9 lives, and it was the book about who you fucked, how much drugs you've done, and who you know. This is about post all of that, really. And that's what's great about it, is that's what reinvention is, isn't it? People go, oh my God, you did a book. I'm like, well, did a book. Oh my God, you're wearing a t-shirt. Yeah, printed it. We did that. I did that book. And I thought, after all of those lives, I've probably got one left. So maybe let me just try and print another book with this one life that I think's worth it at the end of that journey. Look, man, sorry guys, I'm not here to sell you a book, by the way. I'm just giving you a take on what it is. Don't buy it, please, don't buy it. Boring. But for me, the way that books are written, the way you read them, and the way that podcasts are so vital, and this platform in the way that we take stuff, if it ain't interesting, fuck, I don't want to know. I'm fueled by interesting people. Listen to Joe Rogan, or listen to that, or listen to all these mad shows, really interesting things. Interesting books that people tell you about, places to go, and I think that why is because I think the golden age explains a lot to why I'm the way that I am. I was challenged yesterday on the tube by a young kid. He's like, just busses past you, wants to, you know what I mean? You turn around and go, what the fuck? And he's like, would you fight? What? Do you want? Let's go outside, man. I'm like, what is this, fucking kindergarten? You know what? Have a good day. Have a nice life, for that matter. And the way you look at things now in that way that you spin plates in my mental mind is think very fast. Think. Process this really quickly. You know what? Why did you turn around in the first place? You're on a tube. People bump people. 2, you were that kid, man. You were that kid. You were that 19-year-old kid. 3, I've got a son that's already done that. And what happened? Double homicide, double life. For what? Just going back to something you didn't need to go back to. It's all about the choice. And I think a couple of sections in the book talk about the Hoffman process, which is a very, very interesting process, because the Hoffman is post 70s, 80s, kind of late 80s, discovery, channeling, finding stuff. You know, I can go to Eric's place, man, go to Eric Clapton's place in Antigua, and you know what? When you see a pub, I want you to cross the road. I live in the noughties, beyond the noise. I'm not going to cross the fucking road when I see a pub. Are you mad? I want to sit in a pub. Do you know what I mean? That guy does this guy does that. That's what it is. I can't be beaten for someone else's sins. I get it. It's set up in another way. No disrespect to that platform. It works for people that latched onto it very early on.
This is the detox platform that Eric Clapton has.
It's what it is. He's done some great things. Bless you, Eric.
But it doesn't work for your personality.
Thank you. It works for a lot of people.
Right.
Cost me a lot of money, and it was the money. I might as well just throw the money in. I might as well burnt the money. You know what I mean? Because my engagement of that was getting berated by a guy because I'm 23 seconds late for a lesson that he pointed out. You're 23 seconds late. Wow, this is not going to happen. You know, so all of that stuff.
This was what, early 90s? No, late 90s.
Yeah, this is 90s. You know, a couple of years. Saturn's return before the mother aspects of my life. You know that. And it's important to get back to the point why all of these things. You know, the book punches through like the US tour I've just done. It zips around America as opposed to going in one particular routing that it should do.
52 chapters, non-chronological order.
Non-chronological and short chapters because your attention span might be like that.
Your attention span is.
My attention span is, and people's attention spans apparently 9 seconds on you know, on Twitter, you know. And I think that the technology, the velvet claw, that's the phone. You know what I mean? Park your shit over there in Asia and take the SIM out, put it on the fridge with a fridge magnet and leave it. Live a little bit. You know, and I think when I look at people on the tube, and especially when you don't have a phone, let me see how many seconds it takes for each person to reach for the phone. This addiction of all of this stuff. And that's where we're at. Shit, we don't have coverage underground. Some people do. But I think generally, and I like the other side of that argument, like the street of all the different cars. They're not all Ferraris. Hey, we live in a world of technology, man. Cool, yeah. God help us Armageddon. God help us when the lights go out. You know what I mean? I think that getting outside of the box is something I've always done. Living in the reality of you know, a physical aspect that, you know, it's really weird how I gravitated towards yoga. Because there I go again, I'm from on the tube to yoga in the space of a sentence. Because it's life whilst I'm spinning those plates. Because breakdancing at an early age is a beautiful thing. It physically got me something out, got me out of trouble. Got a lot of people out of trouble, Crazy Legs included, Ken Swift included. And I think about that aspect of it and where I'm at, and I think hot room clubs. I've played in clubs all my life, so you know what I mean? So it's hot, sticky, wet. I like the heat. Bikram, give it a try. The idea of being in front of a mirror when everyone's in front of a selfie. Once you go through that nice picture of the pouting of whatever you're doing, then all of a sudden, you strip away the covers, and all of a sudden the ugly self comes out. The ugly you do not want to see.
Is that what you're confronting when you do yoga?
Totally. I've done a lot of that. Now I see the boy. You know, I'm standing in the room and I just see the boy. I go see the boy. When I say, where you going? I go see the boy. Because you see the real humility of being the boy and stripping away what that is and having this place where no one can find me. And I'm in a room with people that are suffering, rejoicing, finding the right place, finding themselves in a quiet space, man. With no dialogue, apart from the teacher's voice, the guru, whoever's teaching you. You know, and there's that point where you spend, you know, a couple of years like going, you know, a fucking woman's voice is driving me fucking mad. Well, isn't that just because I just hated women for a long time and I'm hearing my mother's voice or I'm hearing a social worker, but once you get, she's talking to fucking me. No, she's not. She's addressing 35 people. What, your ego thinks it's just you. And I remember my yoga teacher, a guy called Paul Dobson, weirdly enough, last night on my way, I'm in town, I've got 3 hours to kill, and I'm like, go home and sleep, you're tired. And I'll wait, because I've got this voice in my head, go to yoga. It's a nice day, what am I going to fucking yoga for? In a room downstairs in a basement, you know what I mean? And I hear this voice going, 6:30 class, vinyasa flow, go. And I end up going, and on the way to yoga, I have this confrontation with this young kid, and I'm like, I can see the headline now. Goldie stabbed to death by a young angry child on fucking, you know, on tube train. Goldie beats up young kid, what a bully. No, he did the right thing. You just turn away and you just go, and you go on it. Leave this kid scratching his head. Yeah, I'm a big man. Yeah, good luck with that. And I think that with all of this stuff that happens, I think people that have grown up in especially the 90s, we have this, there's almost like this evolution going on with people like us. We've adapted to the environment. You know, give me 50 cans, I can paint a wall. Give me a little slippy floor, a few little breakdance moves, bit of yoga, bit of that, bit of line drawing, bit of sculpture. I like that. Poetry, writing, observing, sponging it, taking it all in, because what else can we take in with everything? It's very, I think that there's a really interesting experiment that I did about 3 years ago. And it was with a professor at Guy's Hospital. And he's a neurologist. I forgot the chap's name. I'm talking about the brain, I've forgotten the guy's name. And he you know, he was saying we've only been able to wire the human brain up, really wire it up, while the human being's alive for the last 20, 30 years, wire it up really well with some really good technology. Not just on a life support machine watching the blip go by, you know what I mean? And he said that the particular project was about making a piece of music, and they said, choose a piece of the body, choose a part of the human body. And they had a list of, and I just like the look of this name, and he said, limbic system. Okay, limbic, well, sounds great. It's like a graffiti tab, limbic. You know what I mean? It's got a good K and it's got a good L for those reasons. And he said, what is the limbic system? He said, well, it's the part of the brain, the old brain. Right in the center of the old brain is like a needle head, and 100,000 magnifications on top of there is these 2 points. And if we show the human brain pictures of trauma, guns, blood, people dying, it illuminates in lilac. And if we show people nature, things being born, art, music, classical, rap, all of these things, the linguistics of, you know, of sound, the art, it lights up in lilac. And I'm like, well, yeah, but they're adjacent. He said, yeah, but to the human, you know, it's this microscope, they're together. But they are, there's an archetype between the two. And the affirmation came right there and then. Flight or fly. Why rap is so successful. Why graffiti is so fierce. Why breakdancing is the new Olympic sport in that sense, should be. Because people that have come up through that primal aspect of stuff, physical engagement, athletics, all that stuff, they have a trauma. And within the arts, for the record, the only trauma that I've seen within the arts has always come out of hip-hop in the 80s. It came out of that. It came out of tenement. But surely that's synonymous with Detroit techno also. Isn't it, you know, isn't that synonymous with the blues and Dorothy Dandridge? You know what I mean? Or all those great players coming out of Prohibition and the Down and the New York blues. And you know, I used to look just at hip hop. That was it. That's it. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, I'm in the Bronx, and that's it. It's the birthplace. And when I started looking, you know, becoming friends with Henry Chalfont, I started looking at Cut Off Sleeves, the documentary, from Mambo to hip hop. You know, because I've got given Walsall, and that was it, and I don't want to see nothing else. Subway art is the Bible. It still is. But then you realise what got those kids to that place. Why are they not writing about stopping the bomb? Because they're writing their names. That's a bit egotistical. No, it's not. They've lost everything. Their mum's on fucking crack. The dad's fucking pimp, hustling. He's on PCP, from gangsters. Why is it so successful? Why is dancehall reggae so successful? in the sense of its global appeal. We always look towards the arts in all of those genres, man.
When you went to the Bronx and saw their graffiti, based in contrast to what you were doing in the Midlands, what did you learn or see or anything?
I learned really hard. I learned fast.
Was it different?
Oh, totally, man. I mean, it blew my mind, man.
Because it was more intense.
The style, the
Okay.
line, the flow. It's like hieroglyphics, man. There's nothing that can beat style in that way. And you know what the most beautiful thing about style is in that sense of this street style? Is that it's right there in your face. And unless you know it, you can't read it. We can't read, you can't see what we can see. Idea to a two-dimensional drawing of some kid in the hood who's got under such mental pressure, and he just draws this beautiful outline in style, which becomes three-dimensional, which becomes four-dimensional, which becomes like Escher on the wall, and then the execution happens. And then it's going out there and painting it under all the stress. When you think about subway art as a book, when you think about Hand of Doom by Dondi, for example, and we think about Scene's big whole cars. I spoke to Lee Quinones about this. All these beautiful whole cars. New York was on strike in this particular summer at the peak of its pinnacle. And they're all on strike. And these kids are having a riot. It's like carnival in the yards. And I didn't realize that. And you realize all of the attempts, the window down, pieces here, the graffiti, the very beginnings of it. Kids making bubble letters, man. Bubble letters that have now taken it to a whole other world. The barbarians from within. That's what happens. Joseph Reichward said it in 1972, that graffito, the Latin term, will take over the art as we know it. The barbarians from within will take over. Lo and behold, the 80s came and the explosion of that. So you think about that, and going back to the point, what was so different about it? It was socially powered. The backing of it had such belief, such style, that when you turn it sideways, the social conditions that led to that moment, the loss, the power of wanting to believe and be somebody, going out and stealing the paint, not worrying about the police, worrying about who the fuck's going to beat the fuck out of me in the yard. People that lived in the yards. You look at Fuzz One. This is a really famous book. It's very rare. Fuzz One. About a kid that came from Minneapolis or Buffalo that went to live in New York. And he's living in the fucking trains. He's going there. He's like 9. Imagine the kid who's 9 in England living in the train yards. Come on.
Because he wanted to
The
create.
perspective of just a kid living in the train yards, let's face it. Yeah. So you can't go back to that. But that's as powerful as Da Vinci. It's as powerful as Leonardo. It's powerful as all these different characters within the arts, the fight of the arts. These people growing up through fending off people getting shot in the yards, people doing fucking PCP, getting thrown out of windows, people hallucinating, all of this stuff. Painting at night where brown looks like red and yellow might look like tan. It doesn't matter. They used all of these primal tools so primally. The evolution of that and the archetype is so phenomenal. That's why I'm fascinated with it from the very beginning, because it became the Bible. But going back through the arts, as you look at that and you think about it, it's a very powerful thing, because New York had, Manhattan gets built. It gets built by blue-collar workers, right? They come from the islands, right?
Yeah.
Colombia, Somalia, Haiti. They all come to build Manhattan. And then what happens? Economic clash. It all falls apart. And where do all these people who have these kids, where do they go? Let's push them out. Let's build projects. And all these kids had nowhere to go, and they became stacked on top of each other. Excuse the pun, they became stacked. And you had gang wars that were like, savages, nomad skulls. You look at Cut Off Sleeves, it shows you all these gangs. I mean, one of the biggest gang leaders there who'd given up the gangs gets shot on stage giving a seminar. And then it's like, this is enough. And then hip hop's born. And all of these different factions of that Charlie Chase, the Puerto Ricans, bam. All these guys, Crazy Legs, but New York City Breakers, all these guys, all these crews decided enough's enough. And you think about that on the world stage, that's the first ghetto that went like that. Right. And then Sao Paulo, Rio. You couldn't go to Rio. I couldn't survive in Rio right now in a hood. You're mad. They'll ask to shoot you, ask questions later. There's places like that in Detroit. So for me, for what that is and what that represents, what lessons have we learned really about that? That we're still calling this shit like it's the devil, like graffiti and the grime music's just bullshit and this is that. And it's nah, man, that's the voice. That's the UK's voice right now, because when Paris and the projects in France were doing better than we were, because we were still online now with a really nice, neat tracksuit, looking like we were out of style, they were getting down with their own dialects in rap because they had the projects more than we did. And that's what culture does. So answering the question about style and why was it so powerful, it's charged because a ring that's made from the craft point of view and not from, your high street jewelers where it's very thin and it's made in, Taiwan or whatever. You get a crafted ring that's got weight behind it. That comes from a crucible. It's crafted. Someone carved it properly by hand. And they put the gold, they melted it and they put it into the mold and they shot it and it's solid. And that's the difference, because hip hop culture is charged with that. Then rave culture, Detroit techno, exported to Europe. And also it's house music. And Chicago came and made all of that happen. Detroit, Chicago responsible for that house scene.
Did your experience in the Bronx change you? Did it?
My experience in the Bronx, and I'll try to keep it as less detailed. You take someone out of that environment. I was 17 and a half, and I thought I was drawing really good graffiti. And I stuck all these letters together. And I'm looking at every videotape and editing and splicing and watching breakers from Gladys Knight and the Pips to Buffalo Girls. So, oh my God, that's Ken Swift doing a move. Freeze, what trainers does he have on? And looking at all the aspects of the style. It changed me forever, man. I remember Bio coming on the second time to New York, and there's a famous cake shop brand in the Midlands called Stanton's. It's like the weirdest. It's like saying White Castle. You know what I mean? Like a really bad burger joint, right? Or Popeyes. And I get to meet this guy the second time because Brim comes here on this big campaign for graffiti, and he wants to see the ghetto. He wants to see Liverpool. He don't want to see London. He's seen London, but he's hearing about Liverpool and Birmingham and Bristol. You got other hoods, but they're all split up. It's weird. They're all like 200 miles away. How can that even happen? You can drive out of New York and go 200 miles. It's like Booneyville, right? So you don't expect it. Whereas New York is the metropolis. And I was sitting in a cake shop, and I give him my book, to show him my book. He takes the book, and he's like,
pictures of your
pictures
graffiti.
of my graffiti, and he's looking at, and I'm sitting there going, 17 and a half, going, yeah. And he just looks at me like this. He looks at the book. I see what you're trying to do, man. Aye, hold on. And he just rips this page out. It wasn't one of the ones that I've coloured in. It was like a line drawing piece, like an outline. But no, because we used to fill in with colours. And he just rips it up in front of me and he puts it down on the floor. On the table. I'm like, what the? I'm just like, what the fuck? And he goes, man, you gotta look at it like this, man. An E is a C, an F is an E, a C is a G, a J is an I. The construction of the letters. And I'm like, what? And he drew my outline. My book sold this, my brother sold one of these piece books for whatever weed he was smoking at the time, I don't know, but he sold it. It was a great book. And he did this Goldie outline. And it was like, he showed me the construction lines. And then he heavily penciled in my name, but I could still see the construction lines. That was it. I understood it, the form, and that was it. Some got it quicker than others, and the beauty of that. And weirdly enough, one of the most prolific writers in this country, who now lives in Paris and frequents to Berlin and does a lot of art shows around the world, is a guy called Mode 2. We were rivals, bitter rivals when we were young. They were London-based, and I was Midlands-based. And I I remember when I'd blown up with the music and he used to go to the club, which was the Blue Note. And he gave me a book and it was signed and he passed it. And I opened it, it says, from bitter rivalries to close friendships. That's where we were at. And I think b-boyism, the idea of the culture is fueled by that. It accelerates us. You know, and, you know, politics, the smarter you are, the higher you get, right? The more, you know, apparent you're going to cut someone's throat, the higher you'll get, right? Whatever you're prepared to do, right? Well, graffiti has that a certain hierarchy, but it's different. It's the same as b-boys and breaking and everything else. And Mode 2 style, for any of you that look him up, way ahead. His character drawings, for me, are like Da Vinci. I really mean that. On par with, I mean, his sketchbook alone. I say to him, why don't you publish this sketchbook? Not the finished thing, the sketchbook. He's prolific. And he's just one of those kids who's just very humble and just like, man, it's what it is, man. But he draws a human body like no one I've ever seen. And since then, I've seen other characters and other people draw in that way. You know, without going off piste here, it's how much it's taught me. This tiny culture that they said would never last is just like, you know, at its center, you can still not understand some of the Walsall these kids are painting. I can read it. It's like this secret hieroglyphic. We get it. We know it's like, yeah, you don't need to get like a guy who's doing coding to understand this shit. We don't need you to send me secret letters of coding and all that stuff. We've got that. We can read it. How can it be so in your face, but you can't read it? That's how, you know, the laid back society. And also, do you want everyone to read it? And that's why, you know, you can put it on a t-shirt and sell it in Barney's. Or we can put, you know, artists on canvas and put it in galleries. Good. If you've earned the respect of the university of the street to do that, and that's the outcome of the archetype, great. Sell it, put the kids through school, and become the legacy. Because the last time I checked, if I ran into a sweet shop as a child, and I ran in there, and the shop owner's not there, every kid's done it. I don't care who you say you are. If you're a boy and you're young, and you go to the local store, and you go in the shop, and there's no one there, what do you think? Steal. I've got to steal something, right? You must have thought that. And all of a sudden, like, all these sweets, I'll just take that little thing, and he comes back. Shit, and you come out of the shop thinking, I could have stole that and that. That's what happens if you give a young kid a room full of paint with every colour. He's not going to process it, man. Give me brown and red at 3 in the morning and they both look the same and I've only got a few limited cans. Now you got to make it work.
Okay, so the struggle made that art even better.
The struggle made the art.
Right. And they had to express it, not because of a cause, because they had to get it out of themselves to live.
They had to get it out of themselves to live. To live is the word. Because these were threatened with social shit. They can't go back home. My fucking stepdad's going to beat the fuck out of me. I'm stealing paint. I've got to get my mum money for crack. You know, when you look at documentaries, when you look at hip-hop documentaries in a way that, look at crack in America, Ice-T, famous documentary that he narrated. I mean, you look at what crack did.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when that goes out the way and it's like, yo, let's hire a Lamborghini, let's do that. That's not fucking hip-hop, man. I'll get getting out there and getting your own. I get that. And have we lost the message there? In that sense. I think the struggle, people that are post-internet, I see I can kind of see that as more of a struggle. I can also see it being a struggle where, you're so pre-internet, no one gives a fuck who you are. I don't care who you are. Kid on the tube looks at me and goes, who the fuck's this old guy with gold teeth? Like, the fuck's this? Some Russian man. I'm old enough to be a fucking dad. You know that? Of course, that's what you do. I would have felt the same thing about a jazz musician if you'd introduced me to a jazz musician. I don't give a fuck about it. I didn't like olives. Fuck olives. They fucking taste disgusting. I love them now. It's just where we're at. But understanding the culture. If you feed a child McDonald's, he will become obese. And with very bad breath. You serve me art and you serve me good food. If you can afford that food. And then that's a really good thing about the cult, what we do with this culture. Because it's real. When these guys go on battle, it's real. When you go to war and you're painting and you're looking at, guys going to judge these battles with these trains and there's places in Yonkers where they're putting trains together and they're battling. You know who's won. You can see it. It doesn't lie. That lens doesn't lie. So I'm blessed with what that culture's taught me. And I'm also blessed with looking at it as a culture and trying to say, now you've got to make it translucent. Think of it as an outline. What made it like that? The latency of all that people, I got back to the point without the full stop of, they all moved to New York, to Manhattan, built it, and it all fell apart. And these kids made culture. You put them there. And furthermore, if you want to go there and open a can of worms with me, let's go to the 14th century and work out where the ships went and who we enslaved. Do you think if you never raped that fucking country from what it was doing, do you not think that they would not, the great grandkids of those people would not find a way back to the place where the lights are shining from? Because there's nothing left where they come from.
So it was all written hundreds of years ago, and it's a consequence of those acts.
It's a consequence of those acts.
What does that mean ultimately?
Well, it's recognizing that, and you know, you can't fucking say that America's not racist. You can't say that Brexit was a big fucking mistake in the referendum. Of course it was. Because you want someone to wipe your nan's ass, but you fucking, you know, you forgot that my dad came and put a number plate on a car from Ford. We came on a banana bar pan, that's what you called it. They came here. What do you want to do? You want to try and split the atom now? Good luck with that. You can't separate water from water. Because Talking Head said there's water underneath the water, carrying the water. Right? David Byrne's words. And I think in that sense, I feel it's very difficult. The society integrates, guys. Why are you not even thinking like that? Why are you thinking it's something else? Right, let's get rid of everyone. Let's get rid of everyone. Let's get the dreamers down to Mexico and build a wall. Let's get rid of it. Oh, we need this now. Right, it's good enough for you now. That's good enough for you now. I'm black. I'm white. I'm both of them. I'm English. I'm patriotic. I've got letters after my name. I don't use them, but I've got them. But I also understand that struggle. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the influx of different people in the last 20 years are African descent as opposed to just being Jamaican. Because then it was Polish and Jamaican, usually. That's the kind of, roughly. The Czechs as well. You know, in the 60s and 70s, you know, Labrador Grove, a lot of influx. Now Haiti, Somalia, Jamaica, we had that. You've got Africans, Ghanaian, Nigerian. First, you know, the first wave in that sense of that, you know, those are going to have kids. They're going to build a city with all these workers, which we're doing now, and we're going to push everything out. New York, remind you anything? Yeah?
So don't make the same mistakes twice.
Don't make the same mistakes
Embrace
twice.
the diversity.
Embrace diversity. And believe me, Sadiq, now I saw the cultural plan. It's phenomenal, man.
You're a believer.
I'm a believer in him. I'm a believer in what he's doing. And you know why I'm a believer? Because he's just straight talking and going, telling it like it is. Because he remembers it and he's looking at it and he's going, this is the plan. You know, the latency of the bike chain, the cultured bike chain that we think we're peddling, just kept falling off. And the ribbon that got caught in the chain to make it fall off is called bureaucracy, red tape. And it came off. And someone's going to be left in the bike ride because Samsung are ahead and Apple's way ahead in that gang. Or you're sitting there with the council flag thinking, we need to get some people to make it credible. Well, you close the fucking youth clubs. You close my son's school on an estate that has an influx of Czech, Polish, Jamaican, Ghanaian, on an estate where all these kids are growing up together. You close the community centre and then you remove the school. You cut the fucking heart out of the community. What do you think's going to happen while you're saving money?
But the Mayor of London gets that now.
I believe the Mayor of London gets that now. And you know what? What did it say yesterday on the news? 77 million in what, 2 years we're heading towards population? Someone forgot that we fuck and make kids, a lot of them. Someone forgot that we're shagging more than we ever have done. What else you got to do? Because people are poor and they're doing what they've got to do, and people have just need some bit to feel something. I was 17, I was like a fucking rabbit in a hutch with loads of other hutches. You know, and embracing diversity and, you know, you have filters on your phone. What are the filters? Just say, answer me what the filters are, just as a question.
There's a black and white one.
Black and white one. Is there a kind of oldie looking one?
Yes.
Okay, that's a distressed one, right? Like a distressed looking one, like
Yeah.
various, and it looks like the 70s, right? Maybe, or something from strange. Okay, why is that?
Because we're nostalgic.
Because you want to go back and want to be nostalgic.
Yeah.
Pre-internet.
YouTube.
We want to get back to this place that we didn't have all this stuff.
Right.
Now everything's available. Do you think when my daughter, who's 6 now, is going to see herself swimming in a swimming pool, that person is going to be a completely different person to the one she's going to be when she's 50? What was I fucking thinking? What was I thinking with my fashion? I had some atrocious fashion.
Come on, you were rocking some Kangol back in the day.
I was racking some shit, I know, but that's
I don't know where you got the money for some of those clothes.
That's the style for you, though. But there you go. That's what I mean.
Okay.
A monk goes into a room and he looks at something shiny and he picks it up and he puts it in his pocket. But his left hand says, put it back and it's not yours. Even the monk needs to be reminded. And I think we want to go to this nostalgic thing because that's what we're doing. We're lamenting for that past. We also have to look at the future because most people in the hood and where we've come from, you know, when I look at stories like Lahane, which is probably one of the most prolific films I ever saw.
Amazing.
Influenced me beyond anything else.
Why?
Because I did my research. It went to up until it was on the editing room floor, it was still in colour.
Oh.
And then it turned into black and white and sepia.
Yeah.
And
this is the Banlieues outside of Paris. A lot of hip hop, graffiti.
This is the projects in the precincts, hip hop, and it's a story of a gun. A very good story of a gun and the power of the gun. And I look at that as a really big influence, and I think that all of that, you know, we're going back to these things to lament for, and we look at those stories and we think, looking forward, we have to accommodate, man. You know, the amount of money that the government re-spent in making speed bumps when you could have done it all at the same time. If you were to say then, well, we're going to build this estate, it's really good housing, and we're going to build a police station right on the edge of it with a secure SO19 unit, and it's going to have speed bumps and gates for access, you'd have gone, what is it, a prison? When you sold it to us, it wasn't a prison. It's an open prison, isn't it? Kind of. Because you removed things within that estate that I know that my son's got in prison. He's got more access to stuff than some of these kids have got outside. What does that say to you about society? You know, and I think that whoever was anticipating, going back to the point of this growth burst we've had, get your fucking figures right, man. Look at, why are you not looking at Bogota and looking at New York City as a thing of growth? Well, you think London wasn't going to grow? Do you think Berlin wasn't going to grow? You know, that's just the first metropolis. And the second one, it all goes off like that. What can we do about it? You know, I am no fucking mayor. I believe that's a hard job to do. I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to be mayor, mate. Believe that. I would never be. People say to me, why? What would you do if you wasn't doing what you're doing now as the arts? I'm like, listen, I'm still working on myself, right? Teacher, I'll probably end up pulling some kid over a desk and probably getting stabbed in the head because of me not having patience. I'm still working on me. I'm trying to find a child constantly and trying to work out why I was a bad parent. I wasn't a good parent. I didn't have parenting skills. My daughter's outside. We talk about this regularly. You know, I'm going to try and give her these skills. I need to take her to Thailand to go and work in an orphanage and be responsible because she wasn't taught responsibility. I wasn't. But I know that the experiment which was done in some serendipitous way in my life, which has just made this path. If I put all these people that I've met in a list and I've gone, right, you're going to be sitting with Val Kilmer in a room with candles, talking to Turner, to the big man, speaking to Turner on the phone, Ted Turner on the phone. Hey, Goldie, man. Al, you know, tells me about this project, man. This thing, I want to know more about this. Good chatting to you, man. You know, keep us posted. And you're sitting there listening to your first record. How big's your ego going to be? All of that. I mean 1010, Chateau Mau Mau, where Belushi had topped him, where he OD'd. because Val wanted to get that room. Everyone wants to get that room, right? Thinking, you know, what the fuck is this? And I'm thinking about laughing. I'm sitting there with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas, his fucking security's going, private party, it's a gold party in New York, and they're talking into their sleeves. You know, and then I get a phone call from Val, and Val's like, I'm in the White House, because I missed the plane. I was high as a kite, missed the plane, and I'm supposed to be at the White House with Bill Clinton. Yo, he's sitting right opposite, man. Bill Clinton, yeah.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, and I'll see you on the inside.
And then one day I get a phone call from Pete Tong saying, David Bowie loves Timeless and wants to work with you. Okay. I walk past this picture every day. Do you know what else is weird about that? Space Oddity was made in the same building.